Hey everybody, Prayer Pete back with another video again. Today I actually want to talk about, having enough faith in God to rely on Him for decisions before you make them. So we're going to be reading from many chapters today, right? One of which is going to be Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5 through 6, Isaiah chapter 55 verses 8 through 9, 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 31, and we also are going to be reading from Philippians chapter 4 verses 6 through 7 and Psalms chapter 25 verses 4 through 5. This video is to primarily put forward the idea of trusting God with a lot of our decisions before we make them. Trusting Him before it's too late to do so. Now, the title that I came up with for this study will be different from the YouTube video, right? But what I decided to name this is, I Got It, I Know What to Do. I chose this title because as people, we do tend to make prayer before big decisions secondary, if any at all, right? So before you make any decision like, I'll go to the school, I'll buy this car, etc., you tend to think to yourself what the best blueprint, the roadmap is to purchase this new thing or to go about this new walk of life all on your own. It's kind of no secondary decision except what's in your mind and possibly what's on the internet. Now, Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5 through 6 reads, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understandings. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight." This lets us know to trust the Lord within our entire being, especially when it becomes, according to the path that you walk in life. Now, the wisdom necessary to navigate this life that God breathed into us means to not go about it all alone. So we should strive to live a righteous life that is grounded in sound teaching. That also doesn't mean that you shouldn't neglect the access and the power of prayer that has been given to us by the sacrifice of Jesus. Being born flawed and sinful in nature, do you truly believe that you have the blueprint to a comfortable or successful life? Now, this isn't to, as people say, throw shade at anybody or anything like that. This is just general speaking. But if you feel that, I'll say it like this: if the shoe fits, wear it, for lack of a better term. Do you truly believe to have the blueprint to a comfortable life? We're going to go ahead and flip to Isaiah chapter 55 verses 8 through 9. So Isaiah chapter 55 verses 8 through 9 reads, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts." This debunks this theory that, as people, we have it all going on and, we have it all figured out. What makes you believe that when the most God-driven men can slip up due to following their own thoughts that you can't? So men like Solomon and his father King David, whom actually was regarded as a man after God's own heart, have fallen short because of their blueprint to life that led to a crossroad to sinful desire, as we know. Now, I say this to say, the Lord deserves all of you. Every single facet of you, right? Not just the leftovers. Jesus felt you and I deserved a chance at life eternally to sit at the Lord's kingdom, okay? So as Jesus bled on the cross to save our lives, don't you think that He deserves to be the primary determining factor in the choices that we make? Though the Lord does give us free will, we do owe it to God to honor Him in all we do, especially in the decisions we make. We're going to open up our Bibles to 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 31. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 31 does read, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all in the glory of God," which is incredibly important. Now, before you pay for a new home, I want you to think about this. Before you pay for a home or a vehicle or rent or lease an apartment, right? Don't you consult the dealer or the realtor that you go to? Before you apply to a new job, don't you ask about the wages to the hiring manager or the GM? Or even, school. Before you apply to a college or enroll in classes, don't you talk to an advisor? So whether it's any of these things, the point is that we consult who we believe to be determining factors, even if it's just ourselves and ourselves only. Now, don't you find God's verdict to be the most important above all else? The point of this is to encourage you to make Jesus a primary point of contact when making these important decisions. Now, this doesn't mean don't utilize the free will God gave you, and should I hop out of bed this morning? Let me ask God. But that is a good way to think about it, right? Even if it's, we should strive to rely on God for everything in life. If we are so, I don't want to say perfect, but we know everything, why is it an option to even pray? Why would prayer be such a miraculous, amazing thing if we knew everything that we needed to know? Does that make sense? This analysis comes to mind because I found myself thinking about my goals in college, vocational school, certifications, job preference, military, etc. But all while doing this, I found myself not praying, not considering what God has for me in this life, not really considering if this is how my life is supposed to look, as in me planning it for myself. I was relying on myself too much and my own plans and assumptions rather than asking God for clarity. Two important verses to remember in times like this are Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 through 7, and Psalms chapters 25, verses 4 through 5. Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 through 7 does read to us, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Jesus Christ." Psalms chapter 25, verses 4 through 5 reads, "Make me to know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truths and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long." I do really want to clarify, right? This isn't a Bible study to really come after anybody. If the shoe fits, then you gotta wear it. If you feel it fits to it, then it's probably something that you need to apply to your life. But I will say, I don't want to say every single small, tiny decision, whether it's, am I going to go to work today, pray on it and whatnot, because this is a utilization of free will that God gave us to make the right choices righteously, right? And to live holy, Christ-like. But it's not necessarily a bad thing either. Even if it's, what type of shoes should I wear today? If your mother and father, right, you move out and, you asking them certain questions makes them happy because you're growing into this adult and now you're looking for their advice makes them happy, why wouldn't it be the same for our Father in heaven? I do really want to put out before anything else, we do live in a world now that we're really fast food, everything has to be quick. We really need to slow down. That includes myself. I made this because I wasn't the one that slowed down before I started making this blueprint and planning my own life. So to continue where I left off, because my phone overheated, I was really saying that we just need to really put more faith in God. There's no way that we can navigate this world on our own, as many people know, and this may be something that I'm stating that you already know for yourself, but it isn't bad to reiterate it once more, to reinforce the idea. Because as we know, we can read the Bible 1,000 times or run the same verse and still explore and see something different each and every single time. Now, what I'm saying is something that a lot of people already know, but possibly needs to be reinforced. Like for myself, right? I found myself making these plans, but didn't actually consider if this is what God has in store for me. I just found these plans as something that would, benefit my life and make me more successful, etc., etc. That doesn't mean that I can't go about this, with the brain that God gave me, the knowledge and the wisdom that God's given me to try and, know what path is best for me. But the reliance on Him needs to be above all else. It should be less of what I think and more of what He knows. Because right now I'm running off of assumptions and, wishful thinking, when God already knows what my abilities are, what He already put into my life. If you get nothing else from this message, I just pray that you rely on God more for these big decisions, and even make it a habit to rely on Him for the smaller ones. Be in constant prayer. There's a lot of time where we're going to be faced with a lot of obstacles and trials and tribulations, but I want you to remember at the very end of the day that God has your back regardless of what the situation is.